Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes,
And I
yes, yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Hmm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. I'm shy.
I
It's been too long.
appreciate.
I don't even know how to behave right now.
How was your time in Oahu?
Good enough,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, from a thousand miles an hour to two, it's a huge difference. It's
That's
big difference.
Oahu. Come to Big Island. Come
It's
to Puna Big
0.2.
Island. It's point one.
You gotta be in the mode for it. So I think there's um,
Hmm.
a rhythm of life
Hmm.
that you have to enter into in order to sink in. So
Hmm.
how are
Yeah.
you?
I'm I am well. Just coming through kind of a weird portal. We had a guy kind of go crazy. He killed three people and then he was like hiding out. And
I read it.
Carly and I knew him before, so it was just kind of disorienting. I
Mm.
was like, it was like really sitting with it because it kept coming up for both of us. Like there's just something different when you know someone and then
And it
that
hits
happens.
close.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're coming out of that.
Well, what's different?
I don't know. It's the cats are fighting outside right now. There's like three cats fighting. Um, I don't know exactly, but it just seems like it pops up more frequently. And when things are f far away, whether it's like emotional or you don't know the names or you don't know the faces, then like part of the safety mechanism of how we operate is we like disassociate or like it's far away, it's not going to affect us. But knowing this guy and that he's in the community and like everybody knows him, so we're all on edge. Like, is he going to try to come up into one of our homes? And we're all kind of like defensive and guarding and it's like I would drive by the beach where normally there's always cars at the beach and no one was there because we're just like we don't want to be somewhere where one of us is going to get attacked or yeah, it was just kind of disorienting for the community and maybe in a good way it just shook us up a little bit and had us questioning things and yeah, who knows?
Did you know the guy who was killed or who killed?
Both.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you shocked how quick things can switch in a psyche of human?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I haven't seen him or talked to him in a couple of years, but I heard an interview with a woman that lived on the street that we used to live on. So we used to live right by this guy too.
Wow.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, she's like the night before or the morning of he came over and helped her move stuff and he was so kind and nice." And she's like, "I don't know." And she was, she's being interviewed by the news and they're trying to get like a narrative or a story or like fear and she did a really good job of being like he was kind and we don't know. And there's rumor that it could be meth, but we don't know. And she's she's a very wise person in the community in that sense of not just like jumping on a
Conclusion.
story and yeah, like creating her own conclusions to make it make sense for her. It's just like for all of us, it's just confusing and we don't really, it's sad, you know, it's sad in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Like how someone could be driven to do something like that. So,
Yeah, and often when it hits so close like that, often you face the ending. The
yeah.
closer to you it gets, the closer that becomes real.
Yeah.
So your mind goes into the mode of total freak out and freeze, or, frightening. Um, it's almost like, and I've been talking about this week, which is so interesting because the closer, it's the opportunity for you
Hmm. Yeah.
to meet that too, and separated, right? Meaning the ending, which is inevitable to everybody, and we live our life trying to um, almost like ignore it completely, like it's not gonna happen to us.
Yeah. Hmm.
And when it does happen and it comes really close like that, it's the opportunity to meet it privately, like to see what it brings, what it stirs inside us. And the closer to that, the more the life becomes almost richer, which
Hmm.
is the irony of it. The more we know that, the more life becomes richer. The more we meet the fact that we're two are going to end and nobody's going to escape this, the urge to live becomes faster. And almost like there's this urgency for fulfilling of life because we're just going to have less and less life and more of death. So, entire life, we're losing life and gaining death.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we're running away from it. So, when things like this happen, and I remember it's been a couple of years since my father committed suicide. And I'm still thinking about it. I'm
Hmm.
still having an active conversation. He is a perfect example to me, sample or taste or test to meet it again. He comes almost daily ever since. It's been years, and the conversations continue because I wonder. And you know where I end? I always end in how did you get there? How is your psyche? What made you switch to not value life that much and rather value that too much? And how is
Hmm.
this scale flipped back and forth? So to question it and to talk to it, it's really a good opportunity the closer it hits. And it's just going to hit more and more. You're going to have these hints as closer we get to it, as less of life more of life we lose and more of that we gain.
Hmm. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And Carly's dad had some blood clots. He's in the hospital. That was like the next morning. And so
Mm,
she's, it's just like boom, boom, boom. And of course, I had to go through, this guy was hiding out, and I had to go through like, okay, I'm the protector, obviously.
yeah.
Um,
Where's your axe?
yeah, I don't own any guns, so I got the machete out, and I was like, okay, realistically, I need to like emotionally prepare. Am I prepared to use this machete? And then I was like walking through it in my mind of like how I would do it and building up the confidence to do it in order to protect my family and in that way.
Mm.
And it was like, am I am I someone who's capable of that level of violence? And I just had to decide. I'm like telling myself like, yes, you are capable in order to do this.
Biologically.
Yeah.
Biologically, you are. Emotionally, no one is.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's and that's the part where I'm like, I know if I was forced into that situation that something inside me would be transformed or would break or, because like, yeah. And I was contemplating, I'm like, I see why people own guns because it's less personal and vicious and Yeah, in that sense, like using a machete on some, like, yeah, it's just
Wow,
not
very
ideal.
graphic.
I know I had to go through. I'm like,
Yeah,
because
fair.
when he's hiding out, and there was rumors that he was in our little neighborhood, and I'm like, I got to do what you got to do. So yeah. Anyway,
Well, no, no, good, good. But let's talk about this because it has to do with, you see how there is a potent discomfort in it because it is so real and so possible. And we're doing everything in our power to ignore it and deny it.
hmm
Notice how much of the how much of a brain turns on in which it almost like it turns off everything else, entire intelligence. So you're talking about, am going to be willing to protect it? In that moment when of attack of a bear, you're no longer thinking with the mind, you're actually thinking with your natural
hmm
DNA intelligence. It has its own intelligence to protect itself. So I'm not saying wait, but how much of that fear based is it gets stuck in the mind rather than the actual experience of the fear of
hmm
dying, of something that is inevitable for our own selves too. So the closer, yeah, the more I think about it, the more it transforms the fear into almost so it's no longer about what happened outside. It's actually what is happening inside. And this is the conversation. So it becomes more beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's almost like the closer you meet it, and with the Osho's meditations of sitting in cascade actually, you're fearing it less.
Yeah, and I think it invites some opening up within the body itself too. Like there's, as you touch where death is, of course you have somatic response somewhere in the body, and it's an invitation to open it up to that. And interesting in this gene key, there's like this element he says of like it'll take some courage to speak from this place of precision and impeccability because um and I was contemplating like if I was interviewed, I'm like I don't think I would have given them very much at all to use because each question is its own like I would have been like, oh, okay, you're coming from this angle. I'm like, okay, well, it's complex. There's a paradox here. Let me show you both sides. And they're like, okay, moving on. I'm gonna go find somebody else. Um,
Underqualified.
yeah. Um,
Fun.
but I noticed yesterday this desire to like really move my body in new ways, and I'm like, oh, I'm really wanting to like do back bends now and like flip in this new way, open up my chest and just like and it'll be interesting too. Like we have the full moon today, of course, the blue moon, and it feels like a big one. Like there's been like building anxiety, at least here, building anxiety for like the couple weeks since the new moon. And with this event in the community, I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit apprehensive of the ecstatic dance because I feel like there's going to be some strong emotions and releases from people who, because there's like, that road where people were killed and he lived on, there's like at least 30 to 40 people who regularly go to the dance and are part of the community and setting things up. So, yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Where was I going?
mm.
I don't know. Spinning in spirals.
Well, the opportunity to meet you
hmm
through the movements and how your body is actually telling you it needs something else. It needs to open you up in some other places. And what's interesting, it is autonomous enough and intelligent enough to tell you what you need to do. Watch.
Hmm.
I when I went to Hawaii, I got sick. So the last day, two days, I got sick, and I actually never get sick. Never. It's been
Hmm.
years. I don't even know what to do. So I got sick, and I was like, well, some intelligence, some bacteria entered into a really clean body. I would too. It's trying to find a place where it can live and actually enlarge itself. So our
Hmm.
body is already intelligent enough to sustain itself. We don't even need to worry about it. We have a perfect container in which we drop our spirit in, right? Or conscious. So your body's gonna ask you to do, but that this fear and freeze of the death, it's actually taking this questioning and putting it down into the body and experiencing that as well, because it's a perfect structure for it. It's a perfect container.
Hmm.
So I would go. I mean, if I'm you, I don't think he's still mad and crazy because I think he's facing himself now, which is the worst part. If he's still alive, but who knows? You never know.
Who's this? The killer?
Mm,
Oh yeah, he's taken in. Yeah, he's in jail right now. So yeah. Uh,
so interesting. So speaking of intellect versus intelligence,
hmm. And just remind me, where is this in your profile?
attraction.
Attraction. Okay. The Gemini.
Yeah. Is it Gemini?
It feels like Gemini, like the
Totally.
throat center and yeah, language. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's yeah.
So I think it's, the intellect is what we think we need to do rather than the intelligence, what it actually is happening in a
Mm,
moment. And in this scenario, it's really interesting because I was also going through the huge turbulence, which is really weird. The Hawaii now, Pacific has this like massive turbulence over, and it used to not be the case as well. I am I was so afraid of it. And I just was uploading this fear from my body into my mind, which freaked out. I was
hmm.
literally panting and I almost fainted. I gagged out because it was just all over the place. I was so afraid. I was aware that my mind is struggling to calm the body down,
Mm,
and my body was actively almost like in a frightened mode because
mm,
so the breathing in and meditative, it's like it doesn't work. It's simply I don't know what to do with the fear. It's so
mm,
weird. But I was aware entire time of something is happening and I was facing the death closer to it, closer to me. It's like, oh, there is a potentiality. And I'm not gonna be saying, no, there's no way this is gonna happen to me. No, there is a
yeah.
potential in it. And this can be the last thing. And facing it was just like I couldn't calm my body. So my intelligence freaked out. My intellect didn't know what to do. It was useless. It was totally useless. Everything I ever knew,
Hmm.
couldn't even use. Rather than all I knew how to do is just enter into the center of myself and actually try to find the blackness, the
Hmm.
darkness, the void, the emptiness, the space, the nothingness. And it was quite a challenge. So now I'm looking forward to it next time so I can see how I can actually practice entering and calming and entering into the peace of death itself.
Hmm. Yeah. If you
Mm,
if you like that, then yeah,
I
I could
hate
send
it.
you a I could send you a link to like whatever flight school is close and they do like 1 hour discovery flights. You can go up in a little plane and then they'll give you the controls for a little bit.
I went there in Santa Monica here. I flew a plane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
I
was
just bring it
really
up
frightening.
because yeah,
I
because
don't,
like the small plane and usually the turbulence is um yeah, just there's a feeling of like uh, how is this little thing with the one engine, the one propeller gonna keep me alive? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tried it. Yeah.
I'm glad he
I was,
did.
I thought I'll be like Eric. I want to pilot like
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and
good.
I found out years later in talking with Carly that she's like, "Oh yeah, like every day you'd go fly, and she's like, and I'm home with the kids, and pregnant, and I'm planning for your death. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that it was that serious. Like, I didn't know like you were actively contemplating. She's like, yeah, because I had like an in and out experience, and I would tell her stories because I didn't know
Mm.
how to process things that were happening to me either. And I remember one of the first flights we went up, and my instructor's like, all right, we're gonna practice stalls, and I'm like, we're purposely gonna make the plane stall and turn the engine on. I'm like, I don't know. And there's just an element of like you detach and become Tom Cruise and you figure it out and then you push the fear off
Yeah.
for later. Yeah.
Uh, fun,
Yep.
fun. Well, no thanks. Uh, I'd like to just enter into the space and make it immediate rather than 10. So funny. My mom comes in and says, oh, back in Yugoslavia in 1990s, there was a woman who survived a 10,000 feet plane crash, and
Mm.
she's the only one survival. As you can imagine, she's still alive. I was like, that is the life full of agony and torture. It's like, I would not want to live with that memory of 10 minutes worth of dying process or 20 of how long it takes from up down. It's a total agony. It's like, no, I want quick, immediate. I just want to slide in.
Yeah.
That's my wish. I want to just slide in and continue. But you never know.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like, she's a legend and a record. I said, she's in agony for the rest of her life. How long she lived? She lived long. I was like, oh gosh, no, no thanks. That would be so crazy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, did she I don't know. It's interesting to contemplate. Like it'd be cool to hear from her and I think of too like Travis Pastrana, he's like professional dirt bike, skateboard, all the things, BMX, whatever. And I think he's broken like 130 bones throughout his career, and he's probably faced death numerous times. And I wonder, is it a pill that you swallow where it like soothes everything? If we think about our own like near-death experiences, does, does it calm the fear? Does it massage your nervous system, or do you become kind of more apprehensive, or does it change anything at all? Or are we still,
Hmm.
yeah, of course it change. Of course we're always changing and it changes us, but
And we'll never
interesting.
know. But what's interesting is what I read, when that just passes by through the book. It's always this like the way that you end, it will be the way you begin. So your ending is very much your practice for the whole, say, life of coming out of your mentality, of your mental intellectualizing and knowing. So the more life spent in your knowing, the more the agony it is because
Mm,
the life has not been fulfilled. And when life is not fulfilled, the mind keeps going, though you're dead. So the mind has to reformalize itself in another form in order to fulfill all the wishes. So the agony becomes ending and the beginning. You will know someone's life based on their way of dying. And when you look at someone who already has the fulfilled life or fulfilled field
mm,
life, you will see almost like there's this. It's new. I just told this to my mom because her father is really old, my grandpa. And I was like, I'm curious to see now because eyes start slowly lifting up, almost like 6 months before the death. Because you know how
mm,
they actually go upwards. So we close the
mm,
eyes so we can't see something. So in human, we are so frightened by it. But the eyes start going upwards towards the lighter or towards divinity in all, transcendent icons and all the frescoes you will see all saints actually have eyes upwards, transcending. So when life is fulfilled, the eyes start slowly moving upwards, and you will see the letting go of the body and the acceptance of the divinity of its being. So it's really interesting. These things are so really
Mm.
cool to notice. So I told my mom, she's like, I never knew. I'll start paying attention to it because I'm looking at her eyes and I was like, okay, there's still time. It's like, okay, you're looking at me straight. There's a liveness in the eyes, right? So the
Mm.
fulfilled life and ending of the richness through your eyes will show how you lived your life. Was it actually fulfilled or was it frightened in the head of the
Mm.
intellect?
And do you also mean like how they actually die? Like, because I know
Hmm.
some of the masters die in their sleep,
Hmm.
just go to sleep.
Many
Hmm.
of them even know that the death is coming.
Yeah, Maharaji, I think.
And Buddha apparently had like 4 or 5 stages of it too.
Hmm.
Now I'm gonna remove myself from the body, and then the second I'm gonna
Hmm.
remove myself from emotions, and then the third I'm gonna do this, and then fourth, and then off I go.
Hmm.
It's so cool. I think that's so cool. That is so possible,
Yeah,
but I guess we'll never know until that
right.
moment.
There's this theory that I just came across, which this goes back to intellect and intelligence. And people are proposing that because of the quantum multiverse type of possibility of the universe, like that there's endless possibilities of our life, and each micro decision splits into a new reality, and then it just keeps splitting and splitting and splitting. Impossible to comprehend fully, but that's the theory. And they say because of this, you never truly die. When you have a death in this reality, you're splitting and you're just moving to a new reality. And so you just constantly have these like near death experiences. Um, allegedly, I'm like, this is another in reading it and reading this Gene Key, it's like, okay, here's another attempt to intellectualize the unknown and the infinite and what might happen. And yeah.
Yeah, what brings you back to your own intelligence, which is all experiential,
Hmm. Yeah.
in which, there's nothing really to define. It's actually spontaneous. How I understood this is like not intellect. Intellect is dead.
Hmm.
It's formed, stopped, completed, and recycled, and repeated and copied. And it's actually really dead. It is not needed. Intelligence is spontaneous. And I
Hmm.
love how he describes it because in intelligence, there's always unknown. You never know what's going to happen and what will float up. But it happens when it wants to happen. When existence itself wants to show its intelligence through you. And it's just a matter of you being aware of what is occurring and allowing spontaneity to happen. So, how
Hmm.
often, I notice I get into these modes with you a lot. And actually, when I have a topic to enter and I enter into its space, and then I'm creating, and I never know what I'm talking about. That's where my poetry comes from, which is
Hmm.
so humbling in a sense, because it's like, oh my God, I would read what I said because some part of me already knew that the past me would read the future me.
Hmm.
And it's actually really playful and danceful. So the science almost once it knows, it stops with the full stop and conclusion. Instead has to continue evolving through the intelligence of the unknown. The question is, how do you know who to believe? Yeah, right? Because
Hmm.
intelligence meets intelligence and intellect meets intellect. Can you differentiate these two states within and figure out which one are you operating from?
Yeah, and I think I think the orientation begins and ends with the question itself, like just asking and being curious. Because when you think of the word belief, it is very similar to be leaf, like a falling leaf, which is just
Mm.
this like this acceptance and being carried by the wind and not attaching, like a leaf in autumn, it lets go. Of course, there's a growth process, but then there's the end as well. And so, in that sense, we are maybe rooted um, in some sense with like the stem, but we're moving with the wind. We're being tossed and turned by the rain and the storms, and at some point we drop, and it's in that dropping that the process of life inevitably continues in paradox through, that death, that local death. And so, yeah, I think there's intelligence arises in the question itself and also in turning the attention back on ourselves. And I've noticed this in the last 2 weeks, just like questioning myself about some of the words that I tend to use, and it happens more with people I'm less familiar with, like more mundane conversations or like meeting people I'm not as deeply connected with, and then I'll notice like these like sayings will come up, like, how are you? How are you? And then you say this, and then you might say one more thing, and it's like these are the patterns that we have accepted from society as being modeled, and then we inherently like attach to it, and it's like, okay, this feels comfortable to say to a stranger, this is how I get to know you. And in that, there's these words that come up, like, like I just was picking at myself a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, I'll say unfortunately when something doesn't go well for someone else to try to make them feel better, or like, oh, that's unfortunate, I'm sorry, or like apologizing
Something you didn't do.
for yeah, or just like it's just life, what's there's like, okay, like I empathize with you, and how do I communicate that? But it's interesting now, and I feel like throat chakra is being activated astrologically. Of course, we could talk about that too. Um, where we're kind of being called to some level of precision of our voice and our language, and even our tone, and like tonality really comes from the body, and it's interesting, right? It's like this
Hmm.
isn't
Yeah, yeah.
you don't decide your tone up here. I mean, you can manipulate a little bit, but yeah, yeah, we're in a
What I'm
fun
hearing
time
you
right
say,
now.
yeah, and what I'm
Who
hearing you
knows what I'm
pointing
saying?
out, I'm following, and I want to add to it because it's the new intelligence coming in, and mind is lagging, and you're actually aware of what your mind is doing, which is almost youthful in sense, self-forgiving, because that's all he knows. And he knows because it's programmed by society and environment and whatever, whatever, whatever. But there is a bigger intelligence, and there's this Eric in between the two, able to differentiate. Oh, I am much more than just my mind. What am I talking about? And why am I using something? I know I can go deeper. I want to, I desire. There's a whole invitation and inviting, for you to enter into the depths of self and not
Mm,
stay at the surface anymore because your water is calling you deeper to touch it. And like you said, I don't know if this is happening for many people, to be honest. I used to believe if I, then everybody. But now I question that too. If I, then maybe not everybody, you know? But that doesn't stop you from diving inside of your own intelligence. We're so intelligent beings. We're so equipped to discover. This life is discovery of that intelligence. To me,
mm,
it's actually in trials, and
yeah.
of course, you're not gonna get there. You're not
Mm,
meant to get there. Because there it's just a construct. You're meant to discover as much as possible and question and get curious about it. Oh, why this, why that? But to decline, ignore, and the almost delete the other half of humanness, which is also painful, which is also stuff, kind of like heavy and dark. That's then you're only living half of self. You're actually discovering half of self, and that's not fair for you. That's not fair
Hmm.
to you to pretend that you're only a great person. And every single one of us, it's that darkness and that fear and that, like monster. We need to face that too. Meet it, meet it, meet it.
Hmm.
Let me rephrase. Otherwise, it's hiding. And when it's hiding, it's more dangerous than when you see it and it's transparent to you. And once you meet it, you're not going to act out of it. You're going to get to know it and what it wants, and you're going to unite both
Yeah.
sides of self.
Hmm.
Can
Yeah,
I just
very.
add to this? It's
Hmm.
coming up. One more thing, too. When you're sad, it's very personal. These moments are very personal. Actually, they're unique to your own experience. The rest is majority of these collective feelings are, you can't really connect on it, but you can connect to something that is so private to you. And sadness is deeply private. I'm
Hmm.
sad. I'm deeply sad. This is my own unique, my experience. And I want that to meet that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even sharing it is almost like it's kind of becomes
Intimate.
ludicrous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think of my boy Jace, who's Scorpio rising, Gemini, uh, and when he's hurt or sad, he immediately goes to like, please, no one look at me, and he'll get mad. Like, don't look at me, don't talk to me. I need space, but also I want you, but
Hmm.
also give me space, but also I want you. And we have to. I play this game with them, and I pointed this out to people who don't have kids at the beach yesterday. I'm like, watch this Gemini. So he fell and he got hurt. I'm like, watch, he'll push me away. He'll get mad that I'm trying to help him. And then when I walk away, he'll call for me. And it probably seems psychotic to people who you can't who can't see that in themselves and in the way that we push and pull with ourselves in different aspects. But it's so clear with kids, like they just there's no barrier between like, can I show this side of me to the world? Can I show my heart to the world? It's just there. Um, yeah, and there's a gift in that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's pure and not constructed yet. It's in development. It's a pure discover. You get to learn from it. And you
Hmm.
are now discovering it, watching it with your eyes, how open it can be. And not chaotic, but rather free
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
experience the spontaneity of life. So it's a spontaneous reaction. And this push and pull is what he's learning how to do. That's not natural. That natural is I'm free to madness and I'm free to joy. I'm free to do this and I'm free to do this and I can do this within a minute many times over and over. That's the spontaneity. I feel now this, I feel now that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
he's now learning how to use you for what he
Hmm.
wants because he's
Right.
doing a great job in learning how to protect his states
Hmm.
and get what he wants. That's the ego. He's,
Hmm.
what is he, six?
No,
What's your oldest?
he's turning 5 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Really
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're lucky you have good teachers and your children.
Yeah, was just reflecting on that. Like
Yeah.
they're the they're the best. It's just like walking around with 3 mirrors pointing back at me, and anywhere I look, I'm like, okay. I mean, just this week it was like it's like during the whole community trauma before and after, where I'm like, okay, the one night Co, I didn't sleep, so I was like pretty exhausted. And then the next day, I was getting some sass from another one, and then like the sickness is coming through again. It's a shorter one, but it's still like they'll just be like, I'm not walking, pick me up. I won't do that. But then they'll go when they're playing with their friends, they're just like running around. I'm like, I'm trying to communicate to you guys like you're running and playing with your friends, but then when we have to go somewhere, you will refuse to walk. Like how do I explain to a 4-year-old? And I do my best. But of course, it's a mirror onto me of like, okay, I can see through you that I don't have a ton of energy for dealing with it. And there was one day where I'm like, oh my God, like I just had to accept it myself because I'm getting it back from them. I'm like, I'm not a good, like, not a good dad today. Like, I don't have a ton of patience and I'm not willing to play the games. And then just accepting, like, it's just going to be a hard day. And then just letting them cry. And then that way also feeling like there's an element of like, I'm not a good dad today and accepting it instead of, pushing myself harder and harder and harder to like be the version that I'm supposed to be. There's an element of like, I needed that day to just accept it and remind myself like number one, this is hard. Number two, I can't possibly keep up with the demands of 3 children, let alone one. Like, and there's some gaslighting from society at large that each parent should just figure it out and they should, you'll hear this like these corners of the of society at large. Someone who doesn't have kids like made this post on X and was like, I was on a flight and this kid was crying for like 6 hours. And she said, at some point, it's the parents' fault, right? And then, of course, everyone had an opinion, whether it was on this side or this side. It's like ultimately,
Mm.
it's difficult to step back and say, as a parent, and to say, like, oh, I could see where she's coming from. And I can. I actually have a lot of sympathy for it because, like, I know when I'm exhausted by it and, like, there's an emotional pull. If you're on a plane and there's a kid crying, like you're like, oh, there's a kid crying. Like, okay, carry on. I'll just watch my movie. And then maybe you turn the movie off, take the earplugs out, they're still crying. And then eventually, like, you're just like pulled into it's like a gravity well. Like, you're pulled into like the disruption and the chaos of it, the fear of it, whatever it is. And so yeah, it's just like
Mm.
we're all trying to figure it out. And ultimately, having an opinion is maybe the most dangerous thing that we can do in these times is like put our foot down on some topic. And like I have less and less desire to do that now.
Mhm.
Um, but I still find myself reading and being curious about the human mind and how we're all navigating. It's like imagine we're just like fish in a sea. Some of us are caught in the net and some of us are free, but we're all like trying to speak to each other and figure it out.
Mhm.
It's like meanwhile, some of
Mm.
meanwhile like the ones of us that are truly figuring out are just swimming and exploring and curious. Like I think you said that curiosity is key to our evolution during this time
Mm.
more than anything else.
I love it. Some of us are free, some of us are caught in a web. And what you were just pointing out is all intellect. What we learn how to do, how to say, how to react to. It's all, you're actually hitting the nerve of the intelligence in which the intellect is uploaded on a collective level. So now you're actually in a active, aggressive argument, which invites the separation extreme of plus and minus. But the point okay, here's my perspective on it. If the intelligence is happening spontaneously in the moment of, it is bound to be different every time it happens. It will never repeat itself again. So if you're experiencing anger because your child is yelling at it, sit with that anger. There's no
Mhm.
need to explain yourself. It's
Yeah.
actually there's a subtle need to experience the anger. Because the same scene on the next flight will probably bring you some different feeling of maybe happiness or joy or humanitarianism, right? So something that you can see from a different perspective. So when we go online and we hide behind the screens and we poke into with the statement, of course, we invite the extremes. And in extremes, you're now, disturbing much more than you're calming. And the calm comes it's almost like why say it is my point. If you already experienced that, write it down, maybe invite in a different way a question or conversation rather than a intrusion into someone else's problem or someone else's life or someone else's freedom. Who cares is my point. It's your own experience. The other day, I'm sitting in a group of strangers, and this child comes in and just sits in my lap.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. And I'm like, and the week before, I'm eating in in the coffee shop, and suddenly between my legs, three birds. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay, you know, this is my experience. It's like it's momentous. There's some sort of energy that I tapped into, and now I am having a conversation with it. It's such a individual
Mhm.
discovery. No need to explain. By the time you spend it energy elsewhere to prove some point, who cares? It's like, but that time you're
Mhm.
not even in it anymore, so it's invalid by default. And just to sidetrack on that too, it's like I am amazed how open and calm you are every time we meet. I actually contemplated about this too. It's like, how is it possible? Because you always talk about life occurring. Your life is very alive. It's actually really fiery. It's fear. It's
Mhm.
like there's so much going on all the time, and you guys are having to deal with it at all times. It's like you're so relaxed into it. So to me, there must be inside of you a space you enter in the midst of chaos in which you actually rest in your own temple. It's known to you. You know how to do this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's ultimately what speaks as an intelligence, that space that you found to experience your own self, because my experience and yours is never going to be the same.
Yeah.
So who am I to say something, especially if I am not living your life? I will never. I can't. I won't.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a period of my life in reflecting where I had no obligations and no responsibilities from morning until night, and I could go and make money or I could relax. It's like as a teenager and spent a lot of time doing whatever I wanted, and there was not chaos, there was not disorder. Um, but then in reflecting in the mind, it was like absolute, not absolute, but it was, there's agonies and there's fears and there's worries and there's um, the inability to be present because I'm trying to fill something, trying to pour something into the void and not knowing what the void is. And it's like, whether you have perceived chaos in your life or you have all the time in the world, like we can't really know what's going on the inside. It's like, in a sense, it almost doesn't matter I mean, the external triggers something, uh, pulls different things up, but yeah, it
Mhm.
doesn't really, I guess I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It's more like it doesn't, ex it's not an equation. It's not like math where it's like single parent plus three kids plus this equals, it's not linear in that sense. It's very the spontaneity. Yeah. And of course, I'm finding myself using a lot of words during this talk, and I'm noticing like
I love it.
there's not really much being said. It's like I don't feel like the meaning is in the words, maybe more in the tone and the transmission that's happening underneath or over. Yeah.
I love it. You know why? Because you're experiencing yourself through it. Your awareness is what matters, that you are actually saying nothing while you're feeling a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's where the scale is tipping. So the more you feel, this is where the intelligence turns into precision of the city. It's like you have actually less and less to say. And
Hmm.
your words become so precisely targeted into something that speaks outside of beyond you through you. And you cannot meet with the intellect when you're speaking out of intelligence. Intellect will deny it because it doesn't have the orb in which it has a limited space in which it operates, and it's actually its own role is to survive what it
Hmm.
knows and stay there, beyond beyond the desire to stay small. There is so much power to make it much larger and actually move
Hmm.
it beyond its own limits. So it doesn't matter. There's a lot of, I know personally, a few people, few souls who have no expressive language to express their experience. You know, that's why it can come through the tone, it can come through the writing, it can come through some sort of art or some, it doesn't need to be poetry. I'm gifted with it because now I have plenty. You good?
Sorry.
Actually, I have to bounce too, but
Okay. I can hear you now.
that headsets.
I think Carly attached to it. Music
Oh.
blasting in my ears.
um, yeah, so the more we feel, the less we say. Unless there is this like I don't even know what to call it, unless you play with words and then the
Hmm.
words come through you. And just want to read it here. Oh, the higher involuntary currents begin to use your voice to transmit their truths. You begin a process of detaching from your own identity. And the pitch of the frequency allows every word becomes the spirit in which it says
Hmm.
itself through the word. That's how we change the meaning that we are programmed to by inquiring deep down what it is that is our personal private experience. And
Hmm.
then you decide, do you want to share it with the world or not?
Hmm. Yeah.
This was really short.
Yeah. Did it feel short for you?
Yeah, we just started. But I gotta bounce
Yep.
because it's Sunday. But I'll see you next Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Don't fall asleep. Bye.
Don't wake
Ciao.
up.
Ciao.